观众朋友们，大家下午好！在午餐过后呢，阳光明媚，欢迎大家回到2019赛季 China GT 中国超级跑车锦标赛的年度首站马来西亚站的比赛现场。我是方妮，我们现在所在的位置呢是马来西亚的雪邦国际赛车场。那么这是 China GT 第一次走出国门来到马来西亚。那么在我身后呢，大家可以看到的是，接下来来自于 GT3 和 GTC 两个组别，共计21辆赛车将会进行的是1个小时的比拼。那么在第2回合的排位赛当中呢，来自于92号车组的2位车手陈君华和他的搭档李月勋呢，是以非常出色的成绩获得了杆位。而值得一提的呢，就是在我们的整个发车格上将会史前未有的出现一个现象，那就是唯一一辆 GTC 组别的车在第2位发车，可见这辆赛车它的实力有多强。168号赛车的陈亦凡，昨天呢他也是在第1回合的 GTC 组别当中呢是获得了冠军。那么不知道接下来1个小时的比拼，在马来西亚如此炎热的气候之中，会展开怎样激烈的角逐呢？Good afternoon and welcome back to the 2019 season of China GT Championship right here at Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia. I'm Sophie Lee. As you can see behind me, 21 cars are ready for 1-hour race for GT3 and GTC categories. At the same time, the pole position is from car number 92 from Fee's team AAI. Chen Junhua, Kevin Chen, and his teammate Li Yuexun, and they're gonna start it from pole. But at the same time, the second place starter is from GTC category, car number 168, Evan Chen. So let's just cross fingers and wish they can bring us a very exciting race this afternoon. 接下来的时间呢，在我们一起来欣赏非常激烈精彩画面之前，首先让我们回顾一下昨天第1回合 GT3 和 GTC 两个组别的比拼当中的一些精彩回放。And before all the excitement happened on the track, let's take a look back at what happened yesterday on race 1.好的，欢迎回到现场，在我身旁的叶总和冯总啊，先从叶总开始。其实我们今天早上呢，已经看到马来西亚的总理都来到现场，为我们 China GT 来支持和加油。能不能跟我们说一下 China GT 第一次走出国门来到马来西亚意义是怎样的？
China GT 首次走出国门，就得到在看台上的车迷们的大力的支持，特别是马来西亚政府马哈蒂尔总理94岁的高龄，带着2位部长和众多的政府高员，再加上中华人民共和国驻马来西亚的大使白天大使也亲自到场，那我们这个活动非常的别开生面。那今天呢，虽然天气温度很高，但大家的这个情绪更高，所以我们希望这个比赛在这么好的这个阳光下能办得非常的激情。
好，非常感谢叶总。Jim, yeah, just mentioned about actually today we witnessed the Prime Minister of Malaysia as well as 2 ministers and the ambassador come here to support China GT today. At the same time, the competition getting more and more fierce. So we sincerely hope China GT can get even better and better. 那冯总其实呢，作为 China GT 的推广人，也见证了 China GT 的这一路的成长。能跟我们说一下，就是在这几年的过程当中，是不是见证了不同代的这个爱赛车、喜爱赛车的人来推广它的发展呢？
谢谢，大家好，我是 China GT 新一代的推广人冯欣欣。其实我也是80后，我们这一站马来西亚站是 China GT 的4岁的生日，然后我们非常精彩的缠斗，我们的车手来自于亚洲、全亚洲、全欧洲，还有香港、台湾以及大陆内地的3代老中青3代的车手。老的车神带着新的新秀在我们的赛场上拼搏，我觉得这是一种特别美好的传承，所以我们希望把这个传承一直延续下去。谢谢大家。
非常感谢冯总啊。Xinxin just mentioned about actually as a promoter for China GT, we witnessed at least 3 generations of different people because Xinxin herself is after 80s generation and at the same time it's also lots of supporters get from different generations for Chinese, even the motorsporting Asia areas. So it's definitely a great step for us to see China GT winning to Malaysia. Thank you so much. 非常感谢。
那个冯欣欣作为 China GT 的推广人。是到目前为止，我认为是最成功的推广人，因为他的背景是媒体人，而且他对这个汽车运动从媒体的角度来看待、来推广。我相信他会在中国历史上乃至世界汽车运动历史上一位非常优秀的推广人。
非常感谢叶总。Jim mentioned one more time that he thinks that Mrs. Fong actually is one of the most successful promoter for motorsport industry, not only in China but probably in the future in Asia or in the whole world. Thank for both of you. 非常感谢两位。那接下来时间转交回我们解说员呢将会为大家带来更多的资讯。Now cross back to our guys.
Thank you, Sophie. Welcome back to the Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia for round 2 of this combined GT3 and GTC grid. 21 cars in total on the grid this afternoon. A fantastic grid. Lovely to see so many cars there. And a minute's silence there, just in memory of the FIA race director Charlie Whiting, who passed away in Melbourne just a few days ago on the eve of this weekend's Australian Grand Prix. Here in Sepang, it's GT3 and GTC action, round 2 of the 2019 China GT Championship. 10 cars in the GT3 category, 11 cars in the GTC category, a combined grid of 21 cars. Fantastic to see so many cars on the grid here. This is a very special weekend for China GT, the first ever round of the China GT Championship to take place outside China. There's been a lot of racing here this weekend. We've seen some fantastic action yesterday in China in the GT3 and GTC categories, and also in the GT4 category, which took place yesterday And also earlier this morning we had race 2.
好，在我身旁的是从杆位发车的92号车组其中一位车手陈君华。其实陈君华呢也算是老将了，在 China GT 比赛当中。那么从杆位发车呢，尤其是昨天自己同车队的另外一辆车还拿冠军的情况下，会不会鼓舞士气，让今天你从杆位发车更有信心呢？
我们希望当然取得更好的成绩。不过毕竟这一组我们后面现在还是有好几台 Pro 的车手，所以我的策略大概就是稳定的。 把我该做的事情完成，然后交给我的队友，这样子，对。
好，非常感谢陈君华 ，Thanks Kevin. Kevin just mentioned about actually yes, indeed, his experience start as a pole seater, but at the same time, as you can see, there are lots of very strong competitors just behind him, so lots of pressure on the shoulder. Hopefully, he can take the car back safe. Thank you so much, Kevin. Cross back to your guys， 转回到我们的解说间。
Yes, nice to hear from Kevin Chen there. And he is on pole position with his number 92 FIS Team AAI BMW M6 GT3 car, along with his teammate Ivan Lee. They secured pole position in the qualifying session with a lap of 2 minutes 4.490. And their car is the car that you see on the left-hand side of your picture there, just to the left of the red safety car. And let's now go to the pole sitter for the GTC category, Evan Chen, who's down on the grid with Sophie.
168号车组的陈一凡，其实呢，你昨天不仅续写了去年的就是黄溪展的这样一个人跑，然后最后获得了冠军。同时呢，你也是在 China GT 的赛场上第一个 GTC 组别从第2发车的车手，能跟我们说一下，就是自己的竞争优势在本场是怎样体现的？
我觉得今天就是平稳就好，因为毕竟我自己一个人跑1个小时，然后天气这么热，所以我们还是稳一点就好。那我们昨天因为赢了 Bolus 也加了50公斤，所以现在总共有130公斤在车上，所以对轮胎刹车磨耗都会非常大，所以可能不会太平，就是稳定就好。
那你体重是多少呀？
目前58吧。
Wow, 基本是2个半你啊。So Evan just mentioned about actually today the steady, smooth is his key words, but at the same time with extra 50 kg in his car, it's lots of pressure. Thank you so much, Evan. Good luck for you. Cross back to your guys. 转回到我们的解说间。
Well, Evan Chen did an absolutely fantastic job in qualifying second on the grid in front of every GT3 car except the BMW of Ivan Lee and Kevin Chen. So not only pole in the GTC category, but second on the grid overall. A fantastic achievement. And Evan Chen won yesterday's race with fairly consummate ease, was rarely troubled at the front, and clearly looks to be in a league of his own in the GTC category this weekend. Of course, his success yesterday means that, as he was saying, he has to take on 50 kilograms of success ballast, which may hinder his prospects today. And I should think, given the relative speed of the cars immediately behind him on the grid, I wouldn't be surprised if Evan Chen would start to slip back slightly as the race goes on. But nevertheless, Evan Chen still very much in the hunt for GTC honours. He obviously won yesterday's GTC race quite convincingly, and he'll be hoping for 2 wins out of 2 here today. Further down the grid, we have Mitch Gilbert and Xu Jia in the number 1 car. Third on the grid in the Kings Racing Mercedes GT3 car. Xu Jia will be starting the race. There we see, that's the pole sitter. That's Ivan Lee and Kevin Chen, who will be driving that car. Kevin Chen taking the first stint. Second on the grid and first in the GTC category. A splendid effort from Evan Chen in his Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo, the 168 car. Looking very good for another GTC win here today. Third on the grid, that is Mitch Gilbert and Xu Jia's car, the number 1 Kings Racing Mercedes, in a time of 2 minutes 4 seconds, .952. Fourth on the grid is the number 77 AMG Mercedes, the Craft Bamboo car of Jazeman Jafar, the local hero who performed so well yesterday, narrowly missing out on the victory, and he's partnered by Frank Yu. Jazeman will take the first stint for this race, and don't be surprised to see him go towards the front very quickly. Next on the grid is the car that narrowly beat Jazeman Jaffar's number 77 car, the number 90 FIS Team BMW of Nick Yellerly and Junsan Chan. An absolutely titanic duel between Yellerly and Jazeman in the latter stages of yesterday's race, ultimately with the British driver emerging on top. Sixth on the grid, Alessio Picariello and Jeffrey Lee. And Jeffrey Lee will be starting this race. They had a very unfortunate race yesterday when Picariello took the lead, but then that lead was wiped out by a safety car period. Very unfortunate, but they managed to claw it back up into fifth place by the end. Seventh on the grid, Jodie Fannin and first Betty Chen in the third of the FIS Team AAI BMW M6 GT3 cars. And then we see the 918 Porsche, and that is piloted by Zhang Dasheng and Zhou Bi Huang. That is in 10th place on the grid. Zhou Bi Huang taking the first stint in that car today. Next up, in 11th place on the grid, Daniel Liu and Jackie Wu. Daniel Liu starting the race in the number 69 Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car, and that is another GTC entry. Next up, it's car 991 in 12th position on the grid, and that is piloted by Min Hung and Lin Nan. The 69 car there, that is 11th place, and that is the car from Daniel Liu and Jackie Wu in the GTC category. 2 minutes 15.882. That car completed its qualifying lap in. There we see the number 75 Lamborghini of CJ Huang and Wang Tao, and that is in 14th place on the grid. Wang Tao taking the first stint before handing over to CJ Huang for the second stint of the race. That is the number 30 Porsche in 13th position on the grid, and that is driven by Kelvin Wong and Miguel Chong, the duo from Macau. Miguel Chong taking the first stint before handing over to his compatriot Kelvin Wong for the second half of today's race. Another car in the GTC category. Another car in the GTC category is this one, the number 82. That is 16th place on the grid, the YC Racing Porsche, driven by Shang Lei, who will take the first stint before he hands over to Zheng Hui for the second stint. And that is the number 25 Audi, and 15th place on the grid, that will be piloted today solely by Song Bo. Dominic Ang not driving that car today, so Song Bo will take on a double shift as he looks to fight his way up the grid after a disappointing day yesterday. Song Bo, the last of the GT3 runners, in 15th position on the grid, and he'll be looking to overtake some of those GTC cars, which in theory ought to be slower than him, and that should make for some very good racing indeed. And some interesting tactics as well. Quite a lot of the pro drivers taking the first stint today. Nick Yellerly and Jazeman Jaffar notably. Usually when you have a pro-am driver pairing, you expect to see the amateur driver going first and the pro driver going second, but we've seen so far this weekend several teams deciding to go for a rather contra strategy, and yesterday that went very badly indeed for the 88 car of Alessio Picariello and Jeffrey Lee. Alessio Picariello, the pro driver in that pairing, electing to start the race and building up quite a big lead. But then just before the pit window opened, the safety car came out for a hazard on the track, which completely ruined Alessio Picariello and Jeffrey Lee's race, because the lead that Picariello had gained over the first half of the race was completely wiped out. And then to add insult to injury, everybody else, when they came into the pit lane, they were doing so under the safety car. When the safety car neutralizes the race and everybody has to follow in behind, so they were losing less time relative to the cars that stayed out on track, one of which was the 88 car of Picariello. And when he finally came in to make his stop and hand over to Jeffrey Lee, then the safety car had pulled in. All the other cars on the track were at full racing speed, and so that 88 car lost out doubly. Came back out into the race languishing in 8th position after having led the first part of the race, but managing to overtake a few cars and finish in a very solid 5th position, given the circumstances. Up at the front, however, the race at the end was all about the duel between Nick Yellerly in the number 90 FIS Team BMW and Jazeman Jaffar in the number 77 Kraft Bamboo Racing Mercedes. Going at it hammer and tongs for lap after lap. Jazeman looking as if he had the faster car on several occasions, drawing alongside Nick Yellerly, but the British driver, a very quick, very experienced driver, now having recently signed for BMW as a factory driver. This is his first series as a factory driver, spent last year racing in the Porsche Super Cup, finishing 2nd in that category. Nick Yellerly told us after the race he was simply trying to make his car as wide as possible, make it as difficult as possible for Jazeman to overtake, and ultimately the Malaysian driver, with lots of fans here this weekend at his home race, his home circuit, just unable to find a way through. That BMW, we've seen in the GT3 and in the GT4 categories, the BMWs have a very strong turn of speed, a very high top speed, and that really helps them on the long straights on this Sepang International Circuit. There's 2 very, very long straights, and the BMW, as we've seen in earlier races this weekend, very good in terms of high-end speed, and that really helps them overtake and indeed defend when they have to go defensive at the end of those long straights. A fantastic facility here at the Sepang International Circuit, 5.543 kilometers, 15 turns, designed by the famous German architect Hermann Tilke, who's designed so many of the world's top racing circuits that have been constructed over the last 20 years or so in Bahrain, Austin, Shanghai, and many other places all over the world. This track, when it first was built in the late 1990s, went straight onto the Formula One calendar in 1999, the first ever track to be on the Formula One calendar in this part of the world, in Southeast Asia. It was on the Formula One calendar for 19 consecutive seasons, all the way from 99 through until 2017. It joined the MotoGP calendar also in that same year in 1999, and it remains a permanent fixture on the MotoGP calendar. Two-wheel racing, very popular in this part of the world, as two wheels often a very popular mode of transport for the general public. But four-wheel racing, certainly very popular as well. And we're delighted to see so many cars on the grid this afternoon, hopefully for a very, very solid afternoon's racing here at Sepang. A quick word on the conditions. It's very, very hot out there, as it often is in Malaysia, in this part of the world. A few of the drivers in the GT4 race earlier today complaining about how the hot conditions were affecting their ability to drive, were affecting the car. We even saw in the mandatory pit stops one or two cars actually changing tyres, and we very rarely see that in China GT. A quick word on the pit stops. These races last for 1 hour. After 25 minutes of the race, the pit window opens, and that will be open for 10 minutes. And during that time, each car is obliged to come in and take its mandatory pit stop, during which time the cars that have a driver pairing, the first driver will hop out and the second driver will go in. For those cars that only have one driver, that one driver will obviously stay in the car, but they will still be obliged to stop for a certain length of time. And the time that they are obliged to stop really depends on the categorization of the driver grading. We have a lot of pro-am pairings here, where one of the drivers is a professional, and in those driver pairings, typically the pit stop time will be longer. For example, if we look at the #1 Kings Racing Mercedes of Mitch Gilbert and Xu Jia, they're obliged to stop for 82 seconds. And before we carry on, let's have a quick look at this Sepang International Circuit. There you see the turn 1 and 2 complex, very difficult to pass there. A long sweeping right-hander at turn 3, a short burst of acceleration before hard braking down to the right-hander at turn 4, then this sweeping left-hander at 6 into the sweeping right, the sweeping left at 5 into the sweeping right at 6, before braking hard down to the double right-hander 7 and 8, and then hard braking down to turn 9, the left-hand hairpin. Good overtaking opportunity there. Then you come to this back section of the track before turn 14 leads onto this long back straight. Some good overtaking opportunities there. Very important to get good drive off turn 14. Turn 15, the hairpin, the left-hander, another good overtaking spot before joining onto the start-finish straight for another lap of this 5.543 kilometer Sepang International Circuit. Before we saw the overlay of the circuit there, we were talking about the pit lane and the mandatory pit stop times. As I mentioned, the pit stops, the amount of time that the cars have to stop on their marks really depends on the driver grading. Mitch Gilbert and Xu Jia stopping, for example, for 82 seconds, as are Chris van der Drift and Li Chao in the 911 Porsche. By contrast, some of the less experienced driver pairings, those Am pairings, for example, if we look at Min Hung and Lin Nan driving the 991 Mercedes AMG, they will only have to stop for 60 seconds. So that's a full 22 seconds less than the likes of Mitch Gilbert and Xu Jia and Chris van der Drift and Li Chao. So the driver pairings that are less experienced will have to stop on their marks for less time than those more experienced driver pairings, which in theory would be the faster drivers. So that's a good way in GT racing like this of helping just to balance the field out a bit. And then giving, in theory, the faster driver pairings the chance to catch up from the back, which would hopefully lead to some good racing later on in the race. And we certainly saw plenty of good racing all the way through the field right until the end of yesterday's GT3 and GTC race, with that fantastic duel between Jazeman Jaffar, the Malaysian, the local hero, and number 19 Nick Yellerly, making his BMW factory debut in the China GT Championship this weekend. And the number 90 BMW, the FIS Team AAI M6 GT3 car, no doubt looking to make it 2 wins out of 2 here today. Nick Yellerly, unlike yesterday, he's starting the race today, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Nick Yellerly starting from 5th and Jazeman Jaffar, who's starting from 4th, making their way towards the front of the field very quickly. In pole position, Kevin Chen will be starting in the number 92 FIS Team BMW. In second place, Evan Chen. And first in the GTC category, a fantastic lap from him to be so far up the grid, ahead of everyone else in the GTC category, and also ahead of all but one in the GT3 category. So a fantastic effort from Evan Chen, but as he mentioned on the grid to us earlier, he's got to carry that 50 kilograms of success ballast. And so it shouldn't be a surprise if he starts to slip back a little bit as the race goes on. Some fantastic crowds here at the Sepang International Circuit. A lot of racing here this weekend. We've also seen the Asia GT Festival. Lots of dignitaries here as well, lots of VIPs, including none other than the Prime Minister of Malaysia himself. So a fantastic event for everybody here today. And very good to see lots of people in the grandstands about to enjoy, hopefully, another brilliant race here in the China GT Championship, round 2. After round 1 yesterday of this 2019 China GT Championship. The first time that the China GT Championship has taken place outside China. And very pleased they are to come to Malaysia. The 5-minute board there, just going up. Final preparations being made. There you see one of the BMWs, one of the FIS Team AAI BMWs. There are 3 in the GT3 category and 1 in the GT4 category that we saw earlier today. That one driven by Oscar Lee and Yunhao Yao. The 3 cars in the GT3 category. Number 90 driven by Nick Yellerly and Junsan Chen. Number 91 by Jodie Fannin and Betty Chen. And number 92, the pole-sitting car today, and that is driven by Ivan Lee and Kevin Chen. There we see a shot of Evan Chen in his car, the 168 Arrows Racing Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo. A superb lap in qualifying yesterday, less than 1/10 of a second slower than the pole time of the 92 BMW. Fantastic achievement. And Evan Chen, no doubt, will be looking to carry on that momentum that he gained from his very convincing race win yesterday and his qualifying performance, and make it 2 wins out of 2 in the GTC category here this weekend. 11 cars in the GTC category, 10 cars in the GT3 category, and hopefully we'll see some fantastic racing up and down the grid for the whole hour that this race will go for. You see the medical car at the back there. Now that car follows the cars around on the first lap in case there's any first lap incidents, and then the medical car and the medical staff need to get to the drivers in a hurry. Of course, we hope that that doesn't happen, but a very good safety precaution there. Very standard across motor racing series the world over. And that safety car at the front there. One man who will be hoping that that car doesn't come out is Alessio Picariello, whose teammate Jeffrey Lee starts in 6th position in the number 88 car, because Alessio Picariello was leading fairly handsomely in the first portion of yesterday's race before that safety car came out, bunched the pack up and completely neutralized his lead. And as he told us in the second half of the race after he gave over to Jeffrey Lee, very disappointed that that completely ruined their strategy. Picariello will be taking over the second portion of the race from Jeffrey Lee, who's going first this time round. So the 88 Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes going for a different strategy today. And you see there mechanics and engineers just leaving the grid now. And very soon it'll just be the cars and the drivers setting off on the formation lap before we go racing here in Sepang for the final China GT race this weekend, this combined GT3 and GT4 grid. There you see Ivan Lee and Kevin Chen on the left, Evan Chen in the 168 Lamborghini on the right. In third place, the number 1 King's Racing Mercedes of Mitch Gilbert and Xu Jia. Xu Jia, the Chinese driver, will be taking over the first stint in that race. Not long now before we're underway. Cars and drivers all ready. You see the doors open. It's very, very hot out there today. I wonder if we might see some pit stops. Well, we'll definitely see some pit stops. I wonder if we might see some tire changes in those pit stops. We saw that once or twice as the 1-minute board goes up. And that means we'll be getting underway very quickly indeed. Everybody just leaving the circuit now. And then that safety car, the maroon-colored Mercedes that you see in the center of the picture there, that will take off to lead the cars around on a formation lap. You'll see the cars weaving from side to side, trying to get some temperature into those tires and those brakes. These are, of course, racing cars meant to be driven at very high speed, and they certainly don't like being driven very slowly. Those tires tend not to operate very well at low temperatures. And the drivers will need to make sure that they're up to temperature and they don't run the risk of spinning off or locking up the tires in the race, because that could prove to be very damaging indeed. It's also a good opportunity for the drivers to get a feel of the car, just as a footballer before he goes on the field likes to just juggle the ball a bit, maybe pass it around, just get a feel for the ball. So these drivers like to just get a feel for the car, just make sure all the final preparations are going smoothly and everything is as it should be, as Kevin Chen and Evan Chen lead the field around for this formation lap. And you see a couple of cars stranded on the grid there, the yellow flags being waved. It looks like one of the cars, I can't see quite who that is, it might be the 25 Extreme Motorsports Audi. Looks like it may have got going, but there's one car still stuck on the grid. Can't quite see who that is, but the rest of them making it through and going through this tight, twisty turn 1, turn 2 complex. We saw a lot of action here in the earlier race today and earlier this weekend. Very difficult to overtake, because as soon as you go up the inside to turn right, then you're on the outside for the left-hander. This is turn 4 here. A good overtaking opportunity as they brake hard down into this right-hander. Lots of action at this portion of the track earlier on today and earlier on this weekend. As you see, the number 25 Audi looks as if it has indeed got going at the back of the pack. Here we are, the cars now going round this double right-hander, turn 7 and turn 8. A tricky couple of corners to get right, and difficult for overtaking. Very difficult to get it right there. No chance to dive up the inside. Not too much in the way of heavy braking, but here, this corner that the cars are approaching now, turn 9, a very tight left-hand turn. Lots of overtaking opportunities here before they enter the long sweeping curves at the back of the circuit. You can see the elevation change there, just a little bit of an uphill gradient. There is a certain amount of elevation change, especially in that turn 1 and 2 complex, which make it very difficult for the drivers to hit the apex correctly. Very difficult to judge where exactly you need to be turning in, especially, as is often the case at the beginning of the race, if you are defending from somebody behind you, or attacking somebody in front of you, or even somebody to one side of you. You can see how wide the track is, this Sepang International Circuit. We've seen cars going 2 wide, 3 wide, even 4 wide in some places. This is a long back straight, very popular with the drivers. Look out for Nick Yellerly in the BMW to the left of your picture, because that car is very, very fast in a straight line. So this long straight here and the long start-finish straight, that's where Nick Yellerly will, in particular, be looking to make up lots of time, along with the other 2 FIS Team AAI BMW M6s. Those BMWs have a very good turn of speed. The cars just coming through the final corner now. We'll be expecting the safety car to pull in. These cars will then go side by side. It's a rolling start here. We'll soon see them joining the start-finish straight. Once they go over that line, once the race director is satisfied that everything is as it should be, those lights will go green. And we go green, and we are racing in Sepang for round 2 of the GT3 GTC Championship. Oh, and collision! That is the number 1 car of Shuja. And I should think the safety car will come out very shortly, because that car is beached in the middle of the track. There's no way to get it out quickly. Very disappointing indeed for Shuja. But as we go through the first couple of corners, it looks like everybody else has made it through. The number 90 of Nick Yellerly has indeed made it to the front. The 92 car that was in pole position. There you see Shuja. Bitter disappointment for Shuja and for his teammate Mitch Gilbert to be out so early in the race. He just got tagged from behind, and then, unfortunately for him, into the pit wall. No sign of the safety car just yet. And as I speak, the safety car has come out. The safety car is out. There you see the safety car coming out. So the safety car will pick up Nick Yellerly. There you see the number 77 car of Jafar just going a little wide there. But the safety car out on track there. You see the marshals going to clear all the debris and to clear the number 1 Kings Racing Mercedes out. Obviously, it's in a very dangerous position. Not possible to get rid of that car without neutralizing the race with the safety car. So the safety car there, waiting to pick up the race leader, which is currently Nick Yellerly, who's leading the race from 5th on the grid. And there you see Nick Yellerly, the number 90. Now, let's have a look at the start, because a lot of action at the start there. And let's have a replay and see if we can see what happened. Now, look, Shuja in 3rd place on the grid behind the pole sitter. Let's see if we can see what happened. Let's see, as the lights go green, he moves to the right in the middle of the track there. As he moves to the left, and then the number 77 car, it looks, yes, just he gets tagged by the 77 car of Jasmine Jafar, and bitter disappointment for Shuja. Let's see that again. Jasmine Jafar towards the left. He moves again to the left-hand side of the track and just snags Shuja. Very disappointing. Let's see it again from another angle. Shuja going, and I think Shuja perhaps didn't see Jasmine, or didn't anticipate that he was that close behind him. But in any case, the number 1 Kings Racing Mercedes out of the race very early on. Bitter disappointment for Mitch Gilbert and Shuja. There you see Shuja walking in understandably very disappointed to be out of the race even before reaching the first corner. Mitch Gilbert there consoling Shuja. Very unfortunate racing incident. These cars obviously racing very quickly and in very close proximity when they get going. And Shuja, unfortunately, and now into the pits comes the 77 car of Jazeman Jafar. Now, that is the left front tyre being replaced, and you can see the carcass of the old one just being thrown away. So, I wonder if that is a legacy from the collision with Shuja. We saw Jazeman's left front side of his car snag the right rear of Shuja. That tipped Shuja into a spin and then tipped him into the wall. And obviously, Jazeman Jafar with a puncture as a result of that collision. And that is bad news for Jazeman Jafar, because this obviously is not encompassed by the pit window. The pit window not open yet, so the number 77 Mercedes will still have to take its pit stop later in the race. So bad news for Jazeman Jafar, who will now have to catch up with the rest of the pack. But on the plus side, for us spectators, it should mean some good racing as he looks to scythe his way through the field. Jazeman, a pro driver, very experienced, has driven in the LMP2 category in the World Endurance Championship for DC Jackie Chan Racing this year, and driven very competitively indeed. Also competing in the 24 Hours of Le Mans earlier this season, so a very accomplished, very experienced driver, and he's now behind a lot of cars in the GTC category especially that are slower than him. So it should be quite good fun for us to watch Jazeman as he seeks to regain his place towards the front of the field. Meantime, at the front is that man Nick Yellerly, the number 90 of his team BMW. Now this safety car, this is bad news for Nick Yellerly, because in theory you could see, well, you could see how quickly he made it up from 5th to 1st position, and he would have wanted to use this first portion of the race to establish a big lead before he hands over to his teammate Junsen Chen. And the fact that the safety car is out at the moment means that Nick Yellerly is not able to do that. So this safety car is bad news for those driver pairings where the pro driver has elected to go first, because this is completely ruining their chances of gaining a big lead in this first section of the race before handing over to their amateur fellow drivers. The safety car still out at the moment. The clock, you can see at the top there, still running. 54 minutes to go in this race. Let's take another look at a replay of the start. Now let's see, now look at the number 1 Kings Racing of Shuja in 3rd position, behind the pole man on the left-hand side. You see he moves to his left, to the middle of the track, then moves back to the right. The 77 car goes to the right, and then thinks better of it, goes to the left, and just snags Shuja and puts him in the wall. And as we saw later, that clearly damaged the 77 car, because Jazeman Jafar had to come in and replace a tyre. The yellow flag's still out. The incident at the start under investigation, we're being told. So the race stewards obviously going to have another look at that and see what they make of it, see if either Shuja or Jazeman Jafar were in the wrong there, and perhaps hand out some sort of punishment if one of those drivers is decreed to be in the wrong, if it was not decreed to be a simple racing incident. There we are looking at the number 25 Audi that is now in 11th position, having started 15th. So Songbo making up some useful places on the first few laps. Another car to have made up places is the 88 Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes, and Jeffrey Lee, who started 6th, is now in 4th position, helped by that collision between the Kings Racing car of Shuja and the 77 car of Jazeman Jafar. So a useful start for Jeffrey Lee, and this safety car period is good news for Jeffrey Lee as well, because this is preventing the likes of Nick Yellerly from racing away at the front. Now Jeffrey Lee has got that car for the first portion of the race, and then he's handing over to Alessio Picariello, the pro driver in that partnership. And And now, well, we saw what happened on the starting grid with Shujia, a very unfortunate incident, and we can now go to hear from Shujia, who's with Sophie now.
在我身旁，1号车组的徐佳作为去年卫冕冠军，而且这周末可以来说特别不顺利，尤其是刚刚在发车的时候，我们看到发生了一个很严重的事故，全场安全车，能跟我们说一下发生了什么？尤其是因为您在车上的时候，肯定是比我们的角度更加直观。
对，我发车的时候，我做了一个很不错的发车，
现在徐佳的赛车也在推回来的过程当中。
对，然后当我要尝试去超越我前车的时候呢，我发现我的右后面的屁股尾方被还有一辆本部的 AMG 顶了，然后我车直接撞了2次水泥墙。我觉得这个事故当然100%是对方的问题，但是这就是赛车，我觉得。对，那也没办法。可以，
徐佳此时的心情，确实是我们看到发车的时候，在旁边这个车也是撞的比较严重，而且呢，我相信所有的后。那我们的解说。
Well, disappointment for Shujia to be out so early in the race there. As we've seen a couple of replays now, and it looked as if Shujia just snagged by the number 77 car of Jasmine Jafar. And very disappointing for Shujia and for Mitch Gilbert. Nice to see Mitch Gilbert consoling Shujia as they walked in. Clearly no hard feelings, clearly very tight as a team. Jasmine Jafar, the number 77 car, now at the back of the grid after having to make an unscheduled pit stop for some damage incurred after that incident with Shujia. It looked as if he'd had a slow puncture on his front left tyre, because it looked as if he was okay to carry on for a bit, but by the time he got to the pit lane, that left tyre looked pretty shredded. So Jasmine Jafar now at the back. Nick Yellowly still leading the race. No sign of the safety car coming in just yet. You can see the safety car board and the yellow flags being waved. And again, the longer this safety car stays out, the worse this situation is for the likes of Nick Yellowly, because he would have wanted to use this portion of the race to build up a big lead. Meanwhile, it's very good news for the car number 88, currently in 4th position. Jeffrey Lee and Alessio Picariello, and I wonder if they might feel that some poetic justice is being done here, because yesterday their strategy was completely ruined by a safety car in the first portion of the race. And the green flag being waved, we're back racing now at Sepang, and Nick Yellowly in the lead will be looking to make up for lost time and pull out a big lead at the front before he hands over to Junsan Chen for the second half of this race. 48 minutes to go. So we have around 13 minutes before that pit window opens. So Nick Yellowly is really going to be putting the hammer down now. I would think he would go racing as far into the pit window as possible. That pit window is 10 minutes long. And I would think Nick Yellowly would come in as late as possible so as to drive the car for as long as possible, because as the pro driver in that pairing, in theory, he is a quicker driver than Junsan Chen. So it makes sense for the team to have him in the car for as long as possible. There we see Jasmine Jafar way down the order after an early pit stop, and it should be quite good fun to watch him hopefully scythe his way through the field. In 13th place at the moment, Jasmine, and the 918 Porsche in his sights now. Next up, that is in the GTC category, and I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Jasmine overtake that car very quickly indeed. Obviously, Jasmine, a very quick driver, racing in LMP2 category in the World Endurance Championship, and proving himself to be a very quick driver yesterday in a titanic battle with the man you see leading the race now, Nick Yellowly, in the number 90 BMW. There he is, leading the race, and already starting to pull out a bit of a lead over the number 92 car, driven by Kevin Chen. That was the pole sitter. In 3rd position, Still in third place is the GTC leading car. That's the 168 Lamborghini of Evan Chen. So we had expected Evan Chen to drop back a bit and be overtaken by some of the GT3 runners, but Evan Chen obviously helped a little bit by that contact between the number 1 King's Racing car and the 77 car. Evan Chen still sitting pretty in third place, not under any pressure just yet. But Nick Yellerly, the number 90, still leading the race. Perhaps unsurprisingly, setting the fastest lap, 2 minutes 5.195. The gap now 2.5 seconds between Nick Yellerly and Kevin Chen in the second BMW. Another 2.5 seconds between Kevin Chen and Evan Chen in the 168 car. You see coming through now. Jeffrey Lee in fourth position in the 88 car. I would think Jeffrey Lee will be looking to make a move on Evan Chen and move up, as Jazeman Jafar, the 77 car, already up into 9th place. So some useful places having been made by Jafar, and he's going around the outside there of the 75 YC Racing car. So up into 8th place now, Jazeman Jafar, and clearly looking to make up for lost time. Very unfortunate start for the Malaysian driver, snagging Shuja right on the start line and then suffering a puncture. Jazeman, another one of the pro drivers driving in the first section of this race. And he'll want to get as far up the field as he possibly can before he hands over to his teammate Frank Yu. So, Jazeman Jafar in 8th position, down into 9th place. Wang Tao in the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo. And leading the race is this man, Nick Yellerly, in the number 90 BMW, already visually pulling out more of a lead over Kevin Chen now. Evan Chen still in 3rd place, Jeffrey Lee in 4th in the number 88 car. In 5th position is the number 969 Porsche, being challenged by the 991 Mercedes, who goes up the inside. And the 991 Mercedes has just held it. So, the 991 car of Min Hung up into 5th position now, but the Porsche not giving up. The 69 Porsche, driven by Daniel Liu, going to the outside, and Daniel Liu taking that place back. So, Daniel Liu going defensive to the inside, Min Hung to the outside, but very difficult to get through in this tight right-hander, and then the tight left-hander. Min Hung not giving up, looking to the outside. Plenty of different lines to be taken through turns 1 and 2. A very wide racetrack. We've seen cars going in 4 abreast in the opening laps. Daniel Liu going defensive there, and it looks as if Daniel Liu lives to fight another day, but Min Hung going up the inside, almost snagging the back of Daniel Liu. Min Hung in 6th place. And he'll want to get past Daniel Liu, because Daniel Liu driving in the GTC category. Theoretically, that is a slower car than Min Hung, who is in the YC Racing GT3 Mercedes. And very difficult to overtake there, but Daniel Liu goes wide, and Min Hung has taken the place. So Min Hung up into 5th position overall. Daniel Liu down to 6th, and 2nd in the GTC category behind Evan Chen. Meanwhile, Jazeman Jafar just behind Daniel Liu, already up into 7th place, and challenging is he as they go through the tight back section of the track. Jazeman going to the outside, and it looks, yes, Jazeman taking that position. So Jazeman, the Malaysian driver, up into 6th position already after that unfortunate start. And now we should see an interesting battle between Jazeman in 6th place and Min Hung in 5th position. Both those cars running pretty much identical. They're both in the GTC category, and they're both the Mercedes AMG GT3. So, down to pure driving talent now as to who can win that particular battle. Further ahead of them, in 4th place, another one of the GT3 Mercedes, the 88 car driven by Jeffrey Lee. Jasmine not quite close enough for a look up the inside this time round. Still in sixth position, just half a second behind as they went over the line. Oh, and Min Hung running a little wide there. You saw him just trying to correct himself, and that's compromised him slightly as they go through the long right-hander at turn 3. I wonder if Jasmine will have a little look up the inside of turn 4 here. Yes, going to the inside. Min Hung to the outside, and Jasmine going up the inside. So Jasmine Jafar up into 5th position now. A very good few minutes this for Jasmine Jafar. Obviously hamstrung by his pit stop, which put him right to the back of the order, but fortunately for him, the safety car then bunched everybody up. So he might have lost track position, but in terms of time behind the leader, he's actually not that far behind. And there we see the 4th place man, the 88 car. That is Nick Yellowly in the number 90 FIS Team BMW. In the lead, 5.5 seconds ahead at the last count. Nick Yellowly doing his best to pull out as much of a lead as he can. 5.5 seconds ahead, and that is Nick Yellowly's teammate, the number 91 car, driven by Betty Chen at the moment, up into 7th place. So Daniel Liu down to 8th, but no disgrace for Daniel Liu being overtaken by these cars. He is, after all, in the GTC category, and the cars we've just seen overtaking him in the GT3 category. So this really isn't Daniel Liu's fight. He's still very much in 2nd place in the GTC category. Evan Chen a long way up front, as he was yesterday. As we look at Jasmine Jafar now in 5th position, excuse me. Jasmine Jafar just rounding the last corner now. So Jasmine Jafar in 5th position, and next up in his sights is the number 88 car of Jeffrey Lee. And Jasmine Jafar just under 2 seconds quicker than Jeffrey Lee on that last lap. Took 1.8 seconds out of him. So at the current rate, Jasmine Jafar should be with Jeffrey Lee within about a lap and a half, I would think, as we look at the 2nd place man, Kevin Chen, in the number 92 FIS Team AAI BMW, going through the right-hander at turn 4. 1/3 of the race completed, 2/3 of the race to go, 39.5 minutes, as we look at Nick Yellowly now with a 7.5 second lead at the last count over Kevin Chen. So Nick Yellowly really putting the hammer down before he hands over to Junsan Chen, his teammate. Nick Yellowly going through the tight left-hander at turn 9 into the double right-hander on this back section of the track. Very difficult to overtake here, but a real test of driving skill going through these fast sweeping turns as Nick Yellowly negotiates the last of them. This is the double right-hander. Turn 13, turn 14, onto the long back straight, and Nick Yellowly will want to make all the use he can of that power in his BMW M6 GT3. We've seen a fantastic turn of speed from these cars, very high top-end speed, and that's helped them in both offensive and defensive driving so far this weekend. We found the high top speed of the BMW to be very advantageous indeed, as Nick Yellowly crosses the line and begins another lap of this Sepang International Circuit. That last lap, 2 minutes 5.714. Kevin Chen, a 2:06.986. So Nick Yellowly over a second a lap quicker. The gap now 8.8 seconds between 1st and 2nd place, as the field, after a rather breathless first few laps, the field just starting to spread out a little bit now. 14 cars still running as we look at the 88 car of Jeffrey Lee, still going in a very solid 4th place. And Jeffrey Lee and Alessio Picariello, I would think, still very much in with a chance of winning this race. The safety car at the beginning of the race will have hampered quite a lot of the teams who elected to put their pro drivers first, like Nick Yellowly, who is now at the front desperately trying to pound round as quickly as he can and make up for lost time, as we look at Evan Chen, who is going around very nicely himself, still in third position, as we see one of the cars just having pulled to one side there. It looked like one of the Porsches in the GTC category. But there we are. In fourth place is Jeffrey Lee, and right behind him now in fifth place is Jazeman Jafar, the local hero, the Malaysian driver, making his way through the field after an unfortunate start in which he snagged Shuja, put the Chinese driver into the pit wall, and then damaged his own car, had to come in and replace his right front tyre, which had been damaged in that contact. But he's making up for lost time now, getting very close to the back of Jeffrey Lee, who runs wide as they go around turn 13 and 14. A bit of a mistake there from Jeffrey Lee, and Jazeman Jafar doesn't need a second invitation, says thank you very much, up the inside and into fourth place now, Jazeman Jafar. So Jeffrey Lee looking up the inside again. That's cheeky. Is he going up? No, not quite close enough this time, and I should think, and Jazeman Jafar coming into the pit lane there. Now, I'm very surprised to see that. The pit lane, the pit window isn't open, but this, I understand, is a drive-through penalty for the incident at the start. So we mentioned earlier that that car, number 77, under investigation, and the number 77 car, Jazeman Jafar, now with a drive-through penalty for the incident at the start. So another setback for Jazeman Jafar. That's going to put him well out of contention. A lot of cars overtaking. These cars, when they go into the pit lane, they have to put the pit lane speed limiter on, and that will be an agonizing few seconds for Jazeman Jafar as he has to crawl down the pit lane with his limiter on, whilst he watches all of his rivals blast past, going at full speed on the pit straight. But on the plus side, for all of us who want to see some motor racing, it does mean we'll have all the excitement of Jazeman Jafar trying to go through the field once again. As the Malaysian driver now coming through turn 4, as we look once again at race leader Nick Yellerly. The pit window has now opened. We are now 25 minutes into the race, 35 minutes to go. The pit window is open, and I should think you could expect to see the likes of Jeffrey Lee in the 88 Craft Bamboo racing car coming in very quickly, and the safety car is out once again. Now, I wonder if that is for the car that we saw stopped at the outside of, I think it was turn 8. Safety car is out. The pit window is now open, and this could play very nicely indeed into the hands of Jeffrey Lee. He can now make his pit stop, and he will be losing less time than usual because the cars will not be going at full racing speed. There we are, the safety car just waiting to pick up. There is Jeffrey Lee, and I wonder if we'll see him peeling off into the pit lane. And yes, indeed, Jeffrey Lee into the pit lane he goes. So the safety car now picking up the lead driver, and that will be Nick Yellerly. And again, this is more bad news for Nick Yellerly and for Jazeman Jafar, the pro drivers who've elected to go first, because again, the lead that Nick Yellerly had built up would be completely neutralized. And in fact, Jazeman Jafar, you see him there, the 77, going into the pit lane along with several of the other cars. So the pit window open, a lot of the cars coming in. There you see Jeffrey Lee, Alessio Picariello coming in for his stint, as we see Jazeman Jafar just pulling in front there, and the Malaysian driver coming out now, taking his seat out. All of these drivers have their own individual seats that are molded to their own shape. So part of the procedure in this pit stop is taking out the old seat, putting the new one back in. We've seen some old seats frantically being thrown out as the teams and mechanics and drivers desperately try to bolt the new seats in and then strap the driver in that 5-point harness, make sure everything is ready to go. As we see Evan Chen just peeling off down the pit lane now, having served his stop. The number 90 car of Nick Yellerly has decided to come in, so he's handed over. There you see just going through the bottom of the picture now, so Nick Yellerly has handed over to his teammate Junsan Chen, and just behind him coming out is Alessio Picariello, who I would think would be loitering with intent behind the number 90 car in his 88 Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes. the number 77 car still in the pit lane there, as the safety car leading the field round, the number 92 BMW of Kevin Chen, that has not stopped yet, now leading the race in second position. Behind is the 991 YC Racing Mercedes, currently driven by Min Hung, as we see the 911 Porsche, the 918 Porsche, and I think the 77 car just peeling off down the pit lane now. The safety car comes in, as do the two race leaders. So the 92 car of Kevin Chen coming in, he'll hand over to Ivan Lee, and Min Hung in the 991 Mercedes will hand over to Lin Nan. A little bit difficult to gauge exactly who is who at the moment. It should all become clearer once the pit window is ended. It's always a bit of a difficult few minutes to deduce exactly who's made a stop and who hasn't, and where everybody is in the race. But I would think when the dust settles that we'll see Junsen Chen in the number 90 BMW at the front, and Alessio Picariello very close behind him in the 88 Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes, as the 77 car, now driven by Frank Yu, goes through turns 7 and 8. There is Jasmine Jafar, the local boy. A rather untidy first portion of the race for him. He had that unfortunate incident with Shuja at the start, which caused a puncture. Then had to come in, change the tyre, and he worked his way all the way up to 5th position before having to make the drive-through penalty. He was adjudged to have been at fault for that incident with Shuja at the start. So, not the greatest race for Jasmine Jafar. Probably not one that will rank very highly in his pantheon of memorable races. But meanwhile, we're looking at Evan Chen, still in a very solid 4th place overall after having made his pit stop. And that is Jeffrey Lee, clearly blowing very hard, having worked very hard to put that number 88 Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes in a very good position. I should think his teammate Alessio Picariello will have been absolutely delighted with his performance so far, and that has certainly given the Belgian driver a real shot at the race win here this afternoon. With half the race gone, there's still half the race to go as we look at the 991 Mercedes, now driven by CJ Huang, a China GT veteran who drove very well in this series last year, now driving for YC Racing. The 991 Porsche. That is Lin Nan, excuse me, not CJ Huang. Lin Nan now driving the 991 Porsche, having taken over from Min Hung. Meanwhile, that is the 75 car, the YC Racing Lamborghini, and that is CJ Huang. My apologies, I put him down as a Mercedes driver, but that is CJ Huang driving the number 75 YC Racing Lamborghini. And that car on the timing screen is currently in 12th position. We'll have to wait and see for a lap or two just to see how things fan out. Meanwhile, that is the 77 car driven by Frank Yu, down in 10th position on the timing screen. Evan Chen there. Now, the overall race leader, Evan Chen, with the pit stops having been completed. Junsen Chen behind him, and in 3rd place and going very quickly, just setting the fastest lap of the race, is that man, Alessio Picariello, the Belgian driver in the number 88 Craft Bamboo Racing. And these two safety cars have really played into their hands very well indeed, as we look there at the 91 BMW of Jody Fanin, now driving that car. But this is the number 88 car of Alessio Picariello, and he has got Junsen Chen very much in his sights. He took 2 seconds, or 5 seconds rather, out of Junsen Chen in that last lap. Junsen Chen, an amateur driver, Alessio Picariello, a pro driver. And I should think it won't be too long at all before we see the Belgian right on the gearbox of Junsen Chen. You can see visually how close the gap is there. Picariello rounding the left-hander at turn 9, and now into these long sweeping curves at turn 10. Already very, very close behind Junsen Chen. I think it's really only a matter of time before he overtakes that car. Perhaps not around this section of the track. It's very difficult to pass as we look at Chris van der Drift, who is now in the 911 Porsche, another driver who will perhaps look to make up some useful time and places in this portion of the race, having sat out the first half for his teammate. Chris van der Drift, another pro driver, to be in the second portion of this race, and he'll look to make up some useful time. And Alessio Picariello already having got past Junsen Chen as they go round turn 15 to begin another lap. Junsen Chen nudging almost the back of that Mercedes, but Alessio Picariello into second position now, and I should think it won't be long at all before he is all over the back of Evan Chen, who after all is racing in the GTC category. A very, very good effort from Evan Chen indeed to be leading the race overall, but I think there is something very ominous about the way Alessio Picariello is hunting down the Lamborghini. The Belgian just kicking up a bit of dust there. 25 minutes to go in the race. No need to panic, but Alessio Picariello is not hanging around here. He set the fastest lap of the race 2 laps ago. His last lap, a 2-minute 4.572. Evan Chen, a 2-minute 8.505. So Picariello taking 4 seconds out of Evan Chen on the last lap, and I should think before this lap is out, he may very well have assumed the lead of this race. But Evan Chen still very much, even if and when he loses that lead to Picariello, Evan Chen still in the lead of the GTC category. And in fact, Evan Chen pulling over to one side lets Alessio Picariello go through into the lead. That really isn't Evan Chen's fight. He's still leading the GTC category. Absolutely no sense for Evan Chen to try to hold up Alessio Picariello, who is in, after all, a considerably faster car. And you can see already the Belgian driver pulling away there and into the lead of the race with 25 minutes to go. The pit window now closed, all the pit stops having been made, and Picariello just going a little wide there. So perhaps it's not just a foregone conclusion. Not sure what happened there. Perhaps he just overcooked it. You could see him fighting the car, getting a bit of opposite lock on, but no major harm done. A lot of runoff area here at this Sepang International Circuit, but interesting to see if he just lost the car for a second there, or perhaps some sort of issue. He still looks as if he's traveling at a very quick racing speed as he goes over the line, and in fact that lap was only 0.2 of a second slower than his previous effort. That was a 2-minute 4.727 versus a 2-minute 9.1 for Evan Chen, who I think is about to have his mirrors full of Junsen Chen, who is in third position overall and second in the GT3 category. There he is, the number 90 BMW. So Alessio Picariello there, having gone past the number 30 car. That is the car driven by Miguel Chong and Kelvin Wong, the Macau pairing, currently down in 12th position. As we look once again at Junsen Chen in third place, and he's about to put a lap on that car, the number 30 Porsche as well, going right up behind him, and there we go, the number 30 Porsche, very gentlemanly, lets Junsen Chen pass. Absolutely no point in these GTC cars trying to hold up the GT3 runners. They are, after all, racing in completely different categories. But Evan Chen still second on the road overall, doing a very good job of holding that position. And car 991 in 5th position, currently being driven by Chris van der Drift. Earlier on was driven by Li Chao, who is down in the pit lane now talking to Sophie.
好，在我身旁是991号车组的闵恒。其实这一周末呢，有很多车组其实它有更换赛车的这个情况，你也是其中的一个。能跟我们说一下，你之前开了保时捷和现在又改成了这个奔驰，是不是对今天的表现会有一定影响？
是的，因为昨天的比赛应该是很顺利的，但是车辆出现了那个发动机漏油，然后所以导致只能回来不能完赛。所以今天使用了我们的第二台准备的赛车，就使用的驾驶的是 AMG 的 GT3。这台车我们在之前从来没有开过，就是第一次使用就是在这个比赛，我和林楠都没有驾驶过，所以对这个车还需要进一步的了解。
谢谢闵恒。So Minhan mentioned about actually today is the first time driving Mercedes GT3 car, but at the same time yesterday because they are engine failure leak from the previous car, so they changed to this car. But so far so good. Good luck for you. 也希望闵恒能够取得好的成绩。转回到我们的解说间 ，cross back to your guys.
And interesting to hear from Min Hung there, who took the first stint for this car, the 991 Mercedes, currently driven by Lin Nan, who is in 9th position overall as we enter into the final third of this race, with just under 40 minutes having elapsed, just over 20 minutes to go. Lin Nan there in 9th position, just ahead of the 918 car, the YC Racing Porsche 911 in the GTC category, and that is currently being driven by Zhang Dasheng. But there we are, Lin Nan now crossing the start-finish line to start another lap of this Sepang International Circuit, as we look at the race leader, Alessio Picariello, who doesn't seem to be any the worse for his little mishap at turn 8 a couple of laps ago. Still making some very serene progress at the front with 20 minutes of the race to go, and look at the lead that he's pulling out now over Evan Chen. You see in the background there, I should think Evan Chen is about to give up that second place overall to Junsan Chen in the BMW behind him. But again, Evan Chen, absolutely no need to hold up the BMW. They're not racing in the same category. The BMW moves to the side, Junsan Chen to the inside there into second place overall. Evan Chen going there side by side, but I think he'll give best to the BMW, which, as we know, has a very good top-end speed. No sense in Evan Chen fighting that position there. And Junsen Chen into second position overall as they go through turn 1. Alessio Picariello up front, just set the lap time 2 minutes 4.4. Junsen Chen 2 minute 9.1. And let's head down to the pit lane now and hear from Junsen Chen's teammate Nick Yellerly, who's with Sophie.
身旁的90号车组的其中一位车手 Nick Yellerly， 昨天他们是拿到了 GT3 组别的冠军，但是今天呢有50公斤的负重，不知道对于我们的这位车手来说，在他的这个部分完成怎么样 ？So Nick, with 50 kg in your car, how does it feel, especially under these kind of weather conditions on this track?
Yeah, obviously it was a bit more difficult with the 50 kilograms, and it's so hot at the moment out there. So yeah, we're struggling a little bit with tyre wear just because of the extra weight. I think we got screwed a little bit there by the safety car as they threw the safety car up, and I don't know what happened, but no one had to bunch up behind them, which in my opinion isn't the rules, I don't think. So yeah, we need to look at that. And then yeah, Chen's doing a good job. We're in P3, and yeah, we'll just see how long we can stay up there for.
Let's take a look. Good luck for you. 那刚刚 Nick 也说了一下，其实呢，因为第二次出动安全车的时候呢，对他们的节奏有一些打乱，所以现在呢是在第3的位置，也希望他的队友能够好好的发挥。接下来时间转回交我们解说间。Now it's her time to cross back to your guys.
Well, Nick Yellerly there saying what a lot of us here were thinking, that the safety car came out at a very unfortunate time. Obviously, 2 safety car periods in that first portion of the race. So Nick Yellerly not able to establish a gap at the front, and that played very nicely into the hands of this man, Alessio Picariello, who took over for the second portion of this race. His teammate, Jeffrey Lee, did a very good job in the first portion of the race, helped a lot by those 2 safety car periods, but still, he had to put himself into a good position for Picariello to take over. And Alessio Picariello now 15 seconds ahead of Junsen Chen, who is in second position. Evan Chen still in third place, still leading the GTC category by a considerable margin. In fourth place is the second FIS Team BMW, currently being driven by Jodie Fannin, who took over from Betty Chen. Fifth place, Chris van der Drift in the 911 Porsche, having taken over from Li Chao. And in sixth position, the pole-sitting car of Kevin Chen, that's now being driven by Ivan Lee. As we look at the 911 car, that is Chris van der Drift. And into the pits comes the 77 car of Frank Yu. Now, this, I think, is a drive-through penalty. Another drive-through penalty for the 77 car for passing before the control line. So perhaps Jasmine Jafar or Frank Yu a little bit overzealous in passing under the safety car. But there we are, that car, another drive-through penalty, and not a happy time for the number 77 car today. That car down in 7th position at the moment, managing to do that penalty without losing a place, just emerging ahead of the 69 car, currently being driven by Jackie Wu, as Alessio Picariello goes across the line to begin another lap. 2 minutes 4.554. Picariello putting in some very consistent lap times now, and he can afford to really just stroke it home. He, at the last count, was 15 seconds ahead. And Junsen Chen in second place hasn't come over the line. Yes, he has. And you see the gap now, 18.5 seconds. So Junsen Chen, no hope really of catching Alessio Picariello unless the Belgian runs into difficulty. But nevertheless, 2.5 seconds ahead of Evan Chen in third place, who is 4.2 seconds ahead of Jodie Fannin in fourth place, which equates to third place in the GT3 category, because Evan Chen obviously racing in the GTC category. So the FIS Team BMWs currently running second and third in the GT3 category, so a very solid showing, notwithstanding the fact that their tactics were ruined quite a bit by the safety car, the two safety car periods that came out, and really did for Nick Yellerly and Junsen Chen. But still, the number 90 BMW in second position, so a good haul of points still expected for that car, and indeed for the 91 car that you see just coming into your picture now, driven by Jodie Fannin, the British driver. And Jodie Fannin rated as a pro driver, so perhaps with 15 minutes of the race to go, he may have a chance of overtaking Junsen Chen in second place. I should think he'll certainly overtake Evan Chen. He lapped that last lap 3 seconds quicker than Evan Chen, and Evan Chen obviously with no incentive to hold up the 91 car whatsoever. Evan Chen racing in a different category. And if Junsen Chen can, if Jodie Fannin, excuse me, can continue at this rate of pace, he may have a chance of catching and passing Junsen Chen for second place, because he took 2 seconds out of Junsen Chen in that last lap. There you see Jodie Fannin in fourth place on the road, in third place in the GT3 category. Rounding the final corner now, and with 13 minutes of the race still to go, I wonder if Junsen Chen's second place might be under threat. And Chris van der Drift was getting very close in the background there. We're looking at the 991 Mercedes, currently driven by CJ Huang, and that is in 9th position. Alessio Picariello miles in front in the lead there, the number 88 car, now approaching some of the tail enders to put a lap on them. You can see him flashing his lights there, just imploring the 918 Porsche to move out of the way. Move over, he's saying, and the 918 Porsche just holding Picariello up a little bit there. But the Belgian driver passed now, and then past the number 911 car, of Lin Nan. And let's head back down to the pit lane now and hear more from Sophie.
好，现在我身旁的是88号车组的李永德，刚刚完成了第一棒。其实昨天也跟 Alessio Picariello 聊过，他说这一站比赛当中你的整个成绩是挺稳定的。那今天的这个发车有没有追回几位？因为现在呢，88号车组是领先所有的车手，现在第一。
对，那当然我们昨天在战略上有点小失算，也有点不幸运。当然，所以可是我们的那个整体的那个速度，整体的团队的合作，还是因为第一次参加跑这台车，也跑这台车队，所以算是默契都还算可以。当然，那今天呢，今天当然我们起跑从第6位，那因为加上有一些那个 safety car 啊，还有一些状况，所以当然也是在我们的预期中，所以都进行得非常顺利这样子。
非常感谢李永德。Jeffrey just mentioned about today the starting sequence is advantage for him, and especially what happened today, the lots of like a safety car session, some crashes, so bring them the window to overtake the other cars. 那希望你们的这个势头能够保持住，看你现在还是有点紧张啊。那接下来时间在我们现场转交回解说间 cross back to your guys.
Thank you, Sophie. Well, Jeffrey Z clearly very happy with his afternoon's work. He put Alessio Picariello into a fantastic position, and the Belgian driver now sitting pretty at the front, a full 23 seconds ahead now of Junsan Chen, that man there. And behind Junsan Chen in third place is Jody Fannin, and in fourth, Chris van der Drift, and they are catching Junsan Chen. Chris van der Drift catching Jody Fannin, who's catching Junsan Chen. So the three of them, before too long, should be line astern. Chris van der Drift in particular going extremely quickly. He's the fastest man on the circuit at the moment, in fourth position. A lap time of 2 minutes 4 seconds, 0.732 last time around. Alessio Picariello up front at 2 minute 5.8, so he's maybe just backed off a little bit because he's got a big lead. But Chris van der Drift taken 2 seconds almost out of Jody Fannin in that last lap. As we look at Alessio Picariello as he goes around the right-hander at turn 14 onto the long back straight. 10 minutes to go here at the Sepang International Circuit in this GT3 and GTC combined category. Your race leader there, the Belgian Alessio Picariello, who won the GT3 Championship in China GT last year in 2018, and clearly getting 2019 off to a very good start indeed. Had an unfortunate time yesterday when he decided to go first and really had his race ruined by the introduction of the safety car, but then today exactly the opposite happened. He elected to go second. Some of his competitors who'd gone first, the pro drivers, again had their races ruined by the presence of the safety car, as Chris van der Drift is now up into third place ahead of Jody Fannin. So Chris van der Drift really putting the hammer down. It looks as if he'll be in a position to attack Junsan Chen for second place.
好，身旁的77号车组的其中一位车手 Jasmine， 希望他能跟我们说一下在发车的时候发生了什么，因为他和徐佳的车有碰撞。Jasmine, what happened at the very beginning, and what kind of punishment so far you already got just because of the accident you have with Xu Jia?
Well, to be honest, I had a poor start, but unfortunately, another Mercedes just turned in front of me, which was totally unintentional, and I didn't have any room, so the first crash was already there. And then I was thrown for another drive-through for overtaking before the safety car line when there was a car that went off. So I don't understand what the penalty is going on. I just went to see the stewards, but they're still unaware, so we'll see.
好 ，Thank you so much, Jasmine. Jasmine 也解释了一下，就是刚刚的一开始的时候和徐佳呢发生了碰撞，这是第一次他受到惩罚。第二次惩罚呢，因为在安全车出动的时候他有超车的动作，所以又接受了一次惩罚。那77号车组呢，在今天的这个比赛过程当中是接受了2次赛事组委会的惩罚。那接下来的比赛，让我们一起共同继续关注一下。And now let's just still continue to watch the race and cross back to your guys.
Thank you, Sophie. And interesting to hear from Jasmine Jafar, his view. And that is the 69 Porsche driven by Jackie Wu. And I wonder if we might see another safety car, because that car looks as if it's beached not too far off the racing line, as we're looking now at the battle between Chris van der Drift, who has just overtaken Junsan Chen for second place. So Chris van der Drift up into second position now. Junsan Chen coming back at him up the inside, but the New Zealander takes that place as they go round turn 15 to begin another lap with 7 minutes to go. Chris van der Drift up into second place. The New Zealander, the fastest man on track at the moment. 2 minutes 4.612, his last lap. Alessio Picariello up front, 2 minutes 5.1. So the New Zealander taking half a second out of Alessio Picariello's lead, but the Belgian still has 27 seconds in hand. So unless he runs into some sort of difficulty, I should think Picariello will win this race, and it's all over bar the shouting. However, further back, still a bit of excitement. Chris van der Drift having just taken second place from Junsan Chen, now down to third, and I should think Jody Fanin will be very close to the back of Junsan Chen before too long. There, you're looking at the 911 car driven by Lin Nan. That is in 9th place overall, 7th in the GT3 category. And Alessio Picariello there. And it looks as if the marshals might be able to remove that stricken Porsche without having to throw the safety car. We saw Alessio Picariello just going by there. No sign of a safety car just yet. Double waved yellows. So the cars must slow down at that portion of the race. And as I speak, well, the curse of the commentator. There we are. The safety car is out. Just 5 minutes of the race left to go. I wonder if this means we might see the race finish under the safety car. And this is bad news for Alessio Picariello if we get a lap or two of action in before the time runs out, because his lead of 27 seconds is going to be completely neutralized. Chris van der Drift, who has been lapping extremely quickly, has been lapping faster than Alessio Picariello in the last few laps, is now going to be right on the Belgian's gearbox. And I wonder if they can clear that car quickly. We have just 5 minutes to go. The clock is still running. If the marshals can clear the car quickly, that will give Chris van der Drift the chance to have a run at Alessio Picariello, and we should be set for a grandstand finish here in round 2 of the China GT 2019 Championship here at the Sepang International Circuit. The safety car there, picking up Alessio Picariello. We should start to see Chris van der Drift in the picture fairly shortly, because he will join the queue. The cars must line up in order behind the safety car, which drives around at a reduced speed until such a time as the hazard on the track has been removed. There is Chris van der Drift in the 911 Porsche in second position. Hasn't caught up to the safety car just yet. About to put a lap on the 918 Porsche, currently being driven by Zhang Dasheng. But Chris van der Drift, I should think, will see this as quite an opportunity. He should be licking his lips with glee at seeing that 29-second gap to Alessio Picariello just disappear. If indeed the marshals can sort this out in time, the clock is still running. We have just over 3.5 minutes left, so it remains to be seen as to whether we will indeed get some racing in before the clock runs out. The safety car still out at the moment, no sign that it's going to come in as we look at the 77 car there, and there we are, the safety car still going round, and the lights are off on the safety car, so it's going to return to the pits this lap. And there you see Chris van der Drift just in the background now. So if the safety car carries on at a reduced speed on this back straight, Chris van der Drift should be right up on the gearbox of Alessio Picariello by the time they start the lap. There you see Picariello behind the safety car. Chris van der Drift is the second car in that group of three just behind. He should be putting a lap on the 918 Porsche fairly shortly, and just behind Chris van der Drift is Junsan Chen as well. He'll be eager to get his second place back. The green flag is flown. Alessio Picariello there, still in the lead, but Chris van der Drift, who hasn't overtaken the Porsche in front of him yet, he's about to now, I should think. Yes, Chris van der Drift goes through. Junsan Chen through as well into third position overall. Now, Chris van der Drift is 3 seconds behind Alessio Picariello, so the safety car wasn't out long enough for the New Zealander to get right up to the back of Picariello. But nevertheless, he's a lot closer than he once was, and Alessio Picariello is now going to have to put the hammer down a little bit, because what he probably thought was going to be a very serene drive to the finish is now going to have the New Zealander Chris van der Drift in his mirrors. There are 2 minutes to go. I expect we'll see the last lap board coming out very shortly. But there we are. There is your second place man, Chris van der Drift. Behind him, Junsan Chen in third place. Chris van der Drift now 1.5 minutes to go. The New Zealander throwing his car around the double right-hander at turns 7 and 8. Alessio Picariello there, still the race leader, braking hard down to the left-hander at turn 9. And he won't be wanting another one of those wobbles like he had earlier in the race, when we saw him go a little bit sideways and run a little bit wide. Because one mistake from Picariello and Chris van der Drift will be right on the Belgian's gearbox and may even have a chance to take the lead. But still, it's Picariello in the lead in the 88 car. Chris van der Drift in second place, Junsan Chen in third position as they go around turn 14 now. Alessio Picariello, I should think this next lap will be the final lap. We're about to find out. We should see the final lap board come out very soon. Alessio Picariello braking hard. 40 seconds to go now in this race. Going round the hairpin, the left-hander at turn 15. And let's see what the gap is between Picariello and Chris van der Drift on this lap. There you see the last lap. This is it. It's death or glory for Chris van der Drift now. He has to do it this lap, but the gap is 1.8 seconds. I think Alessio Picariello, who just had a little bit of a wobble there in turn 1, I think Picariello should have just enough in hand to see this home. Chris van der Drift took 1 second out of him on that last lap. A little bit of dust there being kicked up. Was that Picariello going a little bit wide? The Belgian driver still in the lead as they come up to turn 4. But Chris van der Drift getting closer and closer. He'll be wanting to fill the rear-view mirrors of Picariello, wanting to pressurize the Belgian driver into a mistake. Van der Drift clearly has the faster car underneath him at this late stage of the race. And Picariello is going to have to use every ounce of his considerable skill. They both go very wide. They're clearly pushing like crazy on this last lap for the victory. This is exactly what we wanted to see. Two drivers going at it hammer and tongs, pushing 100%. Fantastic finish to this round 2 of the 2019 China GT Championship. Chris van der Drift braking hard now down into the left-hander at turn 9. But Alessio Picariello unmoved, still leading the race, showing no sign of giving up that lead just yet as they go through this final twisty section of the track. 12, 13, and now this, the long right-hander at turn 13. Picariello going a little wide, but I don't think that's hurt him too much as he exits that turn 14 onto this back straight. I think Picariello is going to have just too much for Chris van der Drift. The New Zealander looks like he's going to have to settle for second place. Just one more corner to go now. Picariello brakes hard, turns left and runs a little wide, does he? But I think Picariello has just held it. It looks as if the Belgian driver went a little wide, but Alessio Picariello takes the checkered flag and wins round 2 of the China GT Championship 2019. What a fantastic finish. Chris van der Drift in second place there, just 0.6 of a second behind by the end. One more lap, and I think he probably would have got Picariello, but the Belgian just had enough to see it off. Junsan Chen in the number 90, finishing in third place. Jody Fannin falling away a little bit, finishing in fourth position. Evan Chen finishing in 5th place and winning once again the GTC category. 2 wins out of 2 now for Evan Chen in the GTC. A fantastic start, 100% record for the Lamborghini driver, the 168 car, but what a fantastic finish we had here at Sepang. Alessio Picariello, who was leading by a country mile, suddenly saw that lead wiped out by a late safety car, and then he really had to earn his victory because Chris van der Drift was pushing him all the way, just 0.6 of a second separating first and second by the end of the race. Fantastic finish. It looked as if Alessio Picariello might have just lost it at that last corner. It looked as if he went very, very wide indeed. Chris van der Drift taking the tighter line, but ultimately the Belgian just had enough to see the victory through. Chris van der Drift having to settle for second place after a fantastic drive through the field. Well, a fantastically dramatic round two of the China GT Championship 2019. Some action at the start there. Very unfortunate for Xu Jia to be punted off there. Another unfortunate driver pairing was Will Bamber and Kuo Kuo Shin, who in the D2 Mercedes also failed to finish. 12 cars finishing the race today. Very, very hot conditions here in Malaysia, in Sepang. We heard from some of the drivers earlier today how that was affecting their ability to perform, and quite a few mechanical issues on some of the cars today, perhaps caused by the heat here. Very hot and very humid here at Sepang, especially at this time of the day, but thankfully no rain. It does tend to rain at this time of day in this part of the world, and when it does rain, it really comes down like stair rods. Thankfully, the rain relented and it was dry for the 2 days of racing that we had here, as Alessio Picariello comes in to Parc Ferme, closely followed by Chris van der Drift, and himself closely followed by Junsen Chen. A fine third place from Junsen Chen, because he is the amateur driver of the two. Nick Yellerly, the professional driver, who had his tactic completely ruined by the early safety car period. So Junsen Chen doing very well indeed to take that third place. But there is your race winner, Alessio Picariello. Congratulations from his teammate Jeffrey Lee there, and from the rest of his team. A very, very tough win there. Congratulations all round. You see there the HANS device that goes around the driver's shoulders, and that attaches to the helmet, and that is a safety device in the event of an incident, so that the driver's head doesn't move too far forward to prevent whiplash and other problems of that nature. Picariello receiving the congratulations of his mechanics and his team members. And we'll be hearing from the drivers very shortly indeed, as they just step out of their cars at the end of what was a very tough hour's racing here at the Sepang International Circuit. A very hot afternoon indeed. We heard from the drivers just how difficult it was to drive in these very, very hot conditions. The first time that the China GT Championship has raced outside China, the first time in Malaysia, and it's usually not quite this hot on the China GT calendar, but here in Sepang, very, very hot indeed, as Picariello and Jeffrey Lee just having a quick debrief with each other over the race, and we'll be hearing from them very shortly indeed. The front three cars there. So Mercedes winning the race, Porsche in second, and BMW in third. 3 different manufacturers in the top 3. And very good indeed it is to see so many different manufacturers taking part in the China GT Championship. Mercedes, Porsche and BMW all in the GT3 category, and Audi, Porsche, Lamborghini in the GTC category. Meanwhile, let's go down to Parc Ferme now and hear from Sophie, and she's with Alessio Picariello and Jeffrey Lee.
好，在我身旁，恭喜我身旁的88号车组的2位车手 Alessio Picariello 和他的队友李永德获得了我们在马来西亚的第2回合 GT3 组别的冠军。Congratulations, Alessio. Starting from you, your stint is definitely with lots of complicated situations, just like what happened yesterday. Every single time you're out and you see the safety car, right?
Yeah, but today was not that good. I'm not that happy. Yesterday we had a great pace, but we had bad luck. Today we had luck, but we were really slow. Something was wrong on the car, something was bent, the steering wheel was completely not straight. So we need to check that. It feels like it comes from the tires somehow. So I was not enjoying to drive the car today. But overall, the team did a great job all weekend long on a new car for us. Great pit stop, great stint by Jeffrey yesterday and today. So yeah, first win for us with the AMG and first win for us in a long time. So it proves that to change is a positive thing.
Thank you so much, Alessio. Alessio 也跟我们说了一下，就是他的今天的这个比赛呢，他觉得没有昨天跑得好，但是呢，今天的运气比昨天要更好一些，而且李永德呢也是完成了一个非常好的圈速，所以呢，他们需要对于赛车有更多的调教，接下来比赛可能成绩会更有突破。那李永德其实来到China GT的首秀。等待了一回合之后，在第二回合拿到冠军。今天呢，车上没有负重，是不是也是获胜的一个至关重要的原因？也跟我们分享一下你这周末的比赛。
当然，我觉得在China GT我非常惊讶，因为其实很多车队的车手的那个程度都非常高，不比那个保博。所以我们今天当然也是很幸运，在策略上，在车子的调教，还有所有的搭配下是侥幸胜的那么一小段距离。所以当然我们希望能在以后当我们更了解这台车的时候，成绩能更上一层楼。
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Jeffrey mentioned about actually he's super surprised about how the standard and the competition and all the professional level for the drivers is so high compared with the other series. And this time collaborated with Alessio taking the win is definitely a steady progress and also very happy result this weekend. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. 再次恭喜两位获得了我们第二回合 GT3 组别的冠军。接下来时间转回到我们解说间，稍后呢我们将会采访的是 GTC 组别的冠军车手。Cross back to you guys.
Well, Alessio Picariello, surprising to hear that he was so unhappy at his performance despite the race win. He mentioned there that there were some problems with the car and said it was very slow. And that perhaps explains his relative lack of pace right at the end to Chris van der Drift, because the New Zealander was catching him to the tune of over 1 second a lap at the end of the race. And I think one more lap and the New Zealander Chris van der Drift might have taken the lead away from Alessio Picariello. So, nevertheless, still a race win, and I'm sure that they will take that every time, Alessio Picariello and Jeffrey Lee. But perhaps not as quick as they would have hoped. And Picariello and Jeffrey Lee winning the GT3 category. Evan Chen won the GTC category very convincingly, and he's now down there with Sophie.
好，那恭喜168号车组的陈一凡，一个人开完1个小时，像昨天一样呢，夺得了 GTC 组别的冠军。Congratulations for taking win for the GTC category. 那说到今天的比赛，从第2位发车，这个感觉是怎么样的？尤其是车上还有50公斤的负重，是不是心里又紧张，但是又害怕被其他 GT3 组别的赛车比拼到？
其实紧张是还好，因为我知道 GT3 的车都非常的快，那他们空力跟刹车都比我们好。那当然他们的车重就更不用说了，我们车比一般街车还要高，然后现在被加的比一般街车还要重，所以其实第一个弯我们只要就是在那个范围内就好了，然后不要被拉太远。很幸运的有做到。那对啊。很可惜的就是说这一站比完之后，然后我们因为赞助商的关系，所以我们今年没有办法跑，所以希望如果有人可以支持，或者有车队老板可以支持的话，那会很荣幸的，就是希望可以帮得到他们的忙。对。
Thank you so much, Ivan. Now, Ivan just mentioned about actually today is a very exciting process to enjoy the whole racing, because as we know that there are lots of differences between GT3 and GTC. So he tries his best not to keep a very long distance away from the other cars and try to accomplish the race fully by himself. At the same time, because of the sponsor reason, probably cannot follow up the next sessions of China GT. But he sincerely hopes that they still got lots of chances to joining China GT in the next few races. Thank you so much, and cross back to you guys. 转回到我们的解说间，稍后呢，我们将会为您呈现的是颁奖仪式。
Well, Evan Chen driving very, very well, keeping out of everybody's way, and very definitely the class of the field in the GTC category this weekend. Let's have a look at the results now. Confirmation: Alessio Picariello and Jeffrey Lee winning the race. Chris van der Drift in second place. In third place, Nick Yellerly and Junsun Chen. Fourth, Jodie Fannin and Betty Chen. 5th overall and 1st in the GTC category is Evan Chen. 6th, the number 92 car of Kevin Chen and Ivan Lee. In 7th place, after a rather messy race, Jasmine Jafar and Frank Yu. In 8th place and 2nd in the GTC category, the 918 car, driven by Zhang Dasheng and Zhou Bi Huang. Only 12 finishes in today's race. A lot of mechanical issues brought about by the heat. And of course, Mitch Gilbert and Xu Jia had that very unfortunate incident on the start line where they were punted out by the 77 car. So Alessio Picariello and Jeffrey Lee winning today's race. Evan Chen winning the GTC category. It's been a fantastic weekend of racing here at Sepang, and let's have a look at some of the highlights. And as we went green, there we see the contact between Xu Jia and Jasmine Jafar. Xu Jia into the wall, and that was the end of the race for the Kings Racing #1 Mercedes. Jasmine Jafar also carrying some battle scars as a result of that incident, had to come in and change a tyre. And if we see again, Xu Jia moved to one side, and then Jasmine Jafar, as he said later on to us, found it very difficult to avoid him, had to hit the back of him, and unfortunately that punted Xu Jia into the wall. Jasmine Jafar tried to make up for lost time and made it up into 5th position fairly quickly. There was lots of overtaking further down the field. There was the 991 car overtaking the 69 Porsche. These two had a nice ding-dong battle for a lap or two before the greater power of the 991 car ultimately told. That car in the GT3 category, and the 69 Porsche of Daniel Liu and Jackie Wu in the GTC category. Plenty of action up and down the field here at Sepang, as Min Hung finally made it through once the Porsche ran wide a little bit there. And Jasmine Jafar, at this point, had just made it through past the number 91 BMW, driven by Betty Chen, and then up, taking another place past Min Hung. But that car would end up with another drive-through penalty late in the race. Then, towards the end, Alessio Picariello, who took over, made a little mistake there, got all crossed up, but managed to rejoin without losing the lead and without losing too much time. In the GTC category, this man, Evan Chen, led from start to finish. He started 2nd overall on the grid. Fantastic achievement, and was never headed in the GTC category. Right at the end, a late safety car really put the cat among the pigeons for Alessio Picariello, because Chris van der Drift in the 911 Porsche was catching him hand over fist, but ultimately the Belgian just had enough to hold off the New Zealander and win round 2 of the China GT 2019 Championship here in Sepang. Chris van der Drift in the 911 Porsche in 2nd, and the number 90 FIS Team BMW in 3rd position.
大家好，您现在看到的是2019赛季中国超级跑车锦标赛 GT3 组第2回合的颁奖仪式。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of GT3 class at the Round 2 of China GT Championship 2019 in Malaysia. 首先，让我们有请本场的车队冠军，来自于 Chris Bumble Racing. The winning team of the class, Craft Bumble Racing. 好的，有请本场的第3名车手组合，来自于 FIS Team AAI Nick Yellow Lee 和陈君善。 The first runner-up goes to from FIS Team AI, Nick Yellowly and Junshan Chen. 有请本场的第2名车手组合，来自于 GRM 保时捷车队 Chris Wonderdrift 和李超。The second run-up goes to from GRM Chris Wonderdrift and Li Chao. 有请本场冠军车手组合，来自于 Craft Bumble Racing Alessio Picarello 和 Jeffrey Lee。The champion runner-up goes to from Craft Bumble Racing Alessio Picarello and Jeffrey Lee。 那么本场的最快圈数同样来自于 Craft Bumble Racing Alessio Picarello。 有请我们的颁奖嘉宾，来自于绿野集团行政主席 Tansri Lee Kim Yu。Let's welcome our president to the award top 3 place getters, Executive Chairman of Country High Holding, Tansri Lee Kim Yu.好的，恭喜我们的获奖车手，也感谢我们的颁奖嘉宾。Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Tansri Lee Kim Yu。 好的，接下来留给我们车手的是香槟的时间。Now is the champagne time。好的，那么接下来我们将继续为您颁发的是2019赛季中国超级跑车锦标赛 GT3 PA 组第2回合的颁奖仪式。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of GT3 PA class at the round 2 of China GT Championship 2019 in Malaysia. 让我们有请本场的第3名车手组合，来自于 FIS Team AAI Nick Yellowly、Junshan Chen。 The second run-up goes to from FIS Team AAI Nick Yellowly and Jun Shangchen。有请本场第2名车手组合，来自于 GRM 保时捷车队 Chris Wonderdrift 和李超。The first runner-up goes to from GRM Chris Wonderdrift and Li Chao。有请本场的冠军车手组合，来自于 Craft Bumble Racing Alessio Pigrello 和 Jeffrey Lee。The champion runner-up goes to from Craft Bumble Racing Alessio Pigrello and Jeffrey Lee。有请我们的颁奖嘉宾，来自米其林中国投资有限公司狄月池先生，亚太赛事部总监。Let's welcome our prisoner to A-World Top 3 place getters, Michelin Asia Pacific Motorsport Director Patrick Diaz。恭喜恭喜我们的获奖车手和颁奖嘉宾 ，Thank you very much。好的，现在留给我们车手的是香槟的时间。
Hurry, hurry, hurry.
好的，接下来我们将继续为您颁发的是2019赛季中国超级跑车锦标赛 GT3 绅士组第2回合的颁奖仪式。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of GT3 AM class at the round 2 of China GT Championship 2019 in Malaysia。首先，让我们有请本场的第3名车手组合，来自于 Extreme Motorsport 宋波。Let's welcome the second runner-up goes to from Extreme Motorsport 宋波。有请本场第2名车手组合，来自于 YC 车队闵恒和林超。The first runner-up goes to from YC Racing 闵恒 and Lin Nan。有请本场第1名车手组合，同样来自于 FIS Team AII 李月勋和陈君华。The champion runner-up goes to from FIS Team AI Eva Lee and Kevin Chen。有请我们的颁奖嘉宾，来自于未来 EP9 和 Formula E 商业发展总监 Jimmy Tsai。Let's welcome our president to the A-World Top 3 place getters, director of a new EP9 and a Formula E partnership management, Jimmy Tsai。 好的，恭喜我们的获奖车手，感谢我们的颁奖嘉宾。那么现在留给我们车手的是香槟的时间。Now is the champagne time. 好的，那么您现在将继续看到的是2019赛季中国超级跑车锦标赛 GTC 组第二回合的颁奖仪式。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of GTC class at the round 2 of China GT Championship 2019 in Malaysia. 首先，让我们有请本场的第3名车手组合，来自于 Aeros Racing, Kong Kin Chong 和 Kelvin Wong。The second run-up goes to from Aeros Racing, Kong Kin Chong and Kelvin Wong. 有请本场第2名车手组合，来自于 YC Racing 张大胜和周碧煌。The first run-up goes to from YC Racing, 张大胜 and 周碧煌。有请本场第1名车手组合，来自于 Aeros Racing, Ewan Chen。The champion run-up goes to from Aeros Racing, Ewan Chen。有请本场的车队冠军代表，同样来自于 Aeros Racing。有请我们的颁奖嘉宾。来自于湖南晨天文化体育发展有限公司侯晓光先生。Let's welcome our president to the award top 3 place getters, Hunan Chengtian Sport Company CEO 侯晓光。好的，请我们的颁奖嘉宾留在台前，与我们的获奖车手合影留念。好，谢谢，恭喜我们今天的获奖车手以及我们的颁奖嘉宾。那么现在留给我们车手的是香槟的时间。Now is the champagne time. 那么接下来您将继续看到的是2019赛季 China GT 中国超级跑车锦标赛马来西亚站 GTC PA 组第2回合的颁奖仪式。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of GTC PA class at the round 2 of China GT Championship 2019 in Malaysia. 首先，让我们有请本场的第2名车手组合，来自于69车队 Daniel Lu 和 Jackie Wu. The first run-up goes to from 69 Racing Team, Daniel Lu and Jackie Wu. 有請本場的冠軍車手組合來自於 YC 車隊張大勝和周碧煌。The champion run-up goes to from YC Racing 張大勝 and 周碧煌。有請我們的頒獎嘉賓，同樣來自於湖南成天文化體育發展有限公司總裁侯曉光先生。Let's welcome our president to the Edward Top 3 Place Getters, 湖南成天 Sports CEO 侯曉光。
I don't know.
How's 好的，恭喜我们的获奖车手和我们的颁奖嘉宾。那么现在留给我们车手的是香槟的时间 ，Now is the champagne time。
MSF round 1, race 2. The Saga Cup guys have just taken the green flag. They've passed turn 1. Is it without incident? Without incident. Fantastic job, guys. This is race 1. This is a race 2. Sorry, this is a race that matters. This is where you get the big points and you get the trophies.
Podium, yeah, the trophy. Ini adalah race penentuan maruah. Sama ada anda mendapat podium ataupun tidak mendapat podium. Race 1 tak ada podium. So masih lagi didahului oleh sekarang Seng Motorsport.
那么最后我们将为您颁发的是2019赛季中国超级跑车锦标赛马来西亚站 GTC 绅士组第2回合的颁奖仪式。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of GTC AA class at the round 2 of China GT Championship 2019 in Malaysia。让我们有请本场的第2名车手组合，来自于 Aeros Racing。Kong Kin Chong 和 Kelvin Wong. The second runner-up goes to from Aeros Racing, Kong Kin Chong and Kelvin Wong.
Yes, earlier in the day he started second.
有请本场的冠军车手组合，同样来自于 Aeros Racing, Ewan Chen. The champion runner-up goes to from Aeros Racing, Ewan Chen. 有请我们的颁奖嘉宾，来自湖南成天文化体育发展有限公司总裁侯晓光先生。Let's welcome our president to Edward Top 3 Place Getters, 湖南成天 Sport Company CEO 侯晓光。好的，感谢我们的颁奖嘉宾。那么接下来留给我们车手的是香槟的时间 ，Now is the champagne time。
好的，在这个引擎声的轰鸣当中呢，我们的 China GT 中国超级跑这锦标赛的2019赛季的第一场全场的比赛，在马来西亚站的比赛呢就正式告一个段落了。非常感谢我们的观众朋友，在周六和周日的时光一直伴随着我们欣赏了 GT3、GTC 和 GT4 3个组别的比拼。那么在这里呢，还要温馨提醒大家的就是亚洲 GT 赛车节明年3月份还会回到这里，在这里呢掀起非常激情热血的赛车节与您共度。Okay, ladies and gentlemen, after fantastic races brought by all our drivers in different categories, including GT3, GTC, and GT4, we ended the whole stop in Malaysia in a wonderful result for 2019 season, the first stop here for China GT Championship. And one more notice is that the Asian GT Festival will be back next March. So stay tuned with us and get more information. See you next year.
Dan juga Tamimi. Fight antara nampak ada 55 dengan 772 tu
Zaquin Racing Team.
berlawan. Jadi Fadil Alam mengambil peluang itu untuk pop pancung
Fadil
diorang.